विद्यासु श्रुतिरुत्कृष्ट रुद्रैकादशिनी श्रुतौ तत्र पञ्चाक्षरी तस्यां शिव इत्यक्षरद्वयम्।
ओम निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Welcome to all of you. Another session of Rudram learning. My approach, as you know, not only I try to bring this out as something that you can learn and you should learn. So I try to make it easier and drive home the point that's absolutely possible to learn this. But also at the same time, I try to bring out the nuances in the sense, in as much as that you could learn this, there is also the little details that you need to pay attention to. So that is not to deter you or scare you away from learning the Vedas, but just to learn them properly. Even though when you commit yourself and then dedicate yourself to learn this, it's absolutely possible to learn it the proper way. But that doesn't mean that you should ignore the subtle nuances of proper chanting and the proper wording of the Vedas. Also, the reason I bring it out at the very early stages of learning is to ensure that you learn correctly, because once you learn it the wrong way, that will stick to you to the end of your life. So easy to correct in the beginning, but then once you keep chanting it over and over and over again, it's very hard to correct at later stages. With that, we would start with some of the important things that we need to remember from Anuvakam 2 through Anuvakam 9. There are three items that I want to point out here. These are all, like I said, the 300 names of Lord Rudra. The 300 names which, when Yajnavalkya was asked by his disciples, what is the way, a definite way, what is the easiest way to erase the karmas, to mitigate the karmas, and to go to the goal of moksha, he said, Shatarudriyena, he said, only by chanting the names of Lord Shiva is possible. That's the easiest way, and that's a royal path, and that's a highway to moksha. These 300 names. And then the way these 300 names are chanted in the Rudram are different, because you would see from Anuvakam 2, second, Namo Hiranyabhave, starting from there, to end of Anuvakam 9, we have these 300 names. But then the way these names are presented to us, the names of Lord Shiva, and the way the worship is offered in these 8 Anuvakams are different. How different? You would see from Anuvakam 2 through 4, from second Namo Hiranyabhave up to the end of Anuvakam 4, and the beginning of 5, they're called Ubhayato Namaskaras. It very simply means that at the beginning and the end of each of these yajus or verses, there is namaskaras, the 2 namaskaras. In other words, each one of these verses from 2 through 4 have namaskaras at the beginning and the end. They're called Ubhayato Namaskaras. And then from 5 through 9, there's only one namaskara at the beginning, Namo or Namaha. So that is one difference. And the second difference would be, in all this, there are two things you need to note, that everything is not namo namo. In terms of words, in the words how they end, namo namo. So the namo would be the ending of the previous sentence, and the other namo or namaha would be the beginning of the next sentence. But then, technically speaking, when we chant one sentence, for example, when you say Namo Hiranyabhave Senanye Dishancha Pataye Namo, it ends there, because it starts with one Namo, ends with another Namo. Then the next sentence begins, Namo Vrikshebhya Rikeshebhya Pashunam Pataye Namo, end. Third sentence, Namasaspinjaraya Tusimate Patinam Pataye Namo, end. But then when we chant traditionally, it doesn't happen like that, which is not a very big deal. It's perfectly okay. So what happens, the end of the first sentence, Namo, runs into the beginning of the second sentence, Namo. So it becomes Namo, Namo. Everybody would chant like that. That's perfectly okay. Nothing wrong with it. Problem is, when it runs continuously, what happens is, in the beginning of the next verse and the ending of the previous verse, most of the time are different how in terms of what follows or what precedes, and also in terms of intonation. Most of the places you would see, you have an anudata in the previous ending. The namo that ends in the previous sentence would be an anudata, and the namo that begins in the next sentence would be a swarita. Namo, namo, which means lower and higher. Namo, namo. That's most of the time, but that's not always the case. So you would see some of the time, like in here, if you watch the third line, so the previous line ends with anudata lower, and the next one also begins with the same lower. It's always not namo namo, it's namo namo. So it's the subtle difference. That is in terms of intonation. And also in terms of word, it also will be different. Here you would see in the last but one line, if you see an arrow here, so the previous line ends with a namo and the next one begins with a namaha. So it's not namo namo. So in terms of the ending and the beginning, please pay attention how the intonation changes and also how the word changes. And the only way you're going to get this right, if you listen to the proper chanting and also pay attention what is in the script. And what I send you, also all this information is in the English as well. So the reason I put this out here is because this is a version from Ramakrishna Mission. It's only in Sanskrit. So in order to highlight that, I put it out there. With that in mind, we need to proceed. So what are those points? The points are, we have from Anuvaka 2 through 4, double namaskaras. Double namaskaras meaning, at the beginning, end of the verse, there are two namos. Namo Hiranyabhave Senanye Dishancha Pataye Namo. Namo and Namo, two namaskaras, right? So same way. Second line, Namo Vrikshebhyo Harikeshebhyo Pashunam Pataye Namo, another namaskara. So double namaskara. This is up to end of 4. Then what happens when you begin 5? This is 5. Namo Bhavaya Cha Rudraya Cha, end. So there's only one Namo at the beginning. Second verse, Namo Sarvaya Cha Pashupataye Cha, end. Third line, Namo Nilagrivaya Cha Shitikantaya Cha, end. So there are no two namaskaras in the beginning and at the end. There's only one. So this is from 5 to 9. So this is Ubayatha namaskaras and single namaskaras. And also explain to you how the intonation changes from the previous namo to the following namo, and also how the wording could be changed between the previous namo and the second could be a namo or namaha. So these 3 points you need to remember. If you're going to a good teacher, listen carefully what he or she chants, and even the ones that I record after the classes, the YouTube ones, they are good ones to follow. So with these tools, try to do the right thing and learn it the correct way. To summarize, the double namaskaras, Ubayatha namaskara, and then the single namaskaras, And then the end changes, we have to pay attention in terms of wording, and end changes in terms of intonation. You must be wondering why I put so much emphasis on chanting this properly. There's a very important reason. You see, these Vedic hymns were not written by Rishi sitting under a tree. Like I mentioned in my opening lecture on the Vedas, these came from the silence of Samadhi, which is God consciousness. Absolutely, what is God consciousness? The Shiva consciousness. Shivam Shantam Chaturtam Advaitam Manyante. So that is Lord Shiva's consciousness. Shivoham, Shivoham, the one that Shivoham, that Adi Shankaracharya described as the ultimate reality. I am that Shiva, I am that Shiva. So from that consciousness, from that silence of Samadhi, these mantras came. What does that mean to us? The answer to that is that when you chant these mantras the way they should be chanted, these mantras will act as a vehicle to take you back to the God consciousness from where they came. Sanskrit and Vedas are two-way dialogue. So the reason these have the power is that when you chant them the way they should be chanted, they will act as a vehicle, they will put you on that vehicle, the Vedic vehicle, and take you back to the source where they came from. So that is why this is called Deva Bhasha. Vadamoliyum ten Tamilumanavankan. The same reason in Tamil also, the Thevaram Tiruvasakam should be chanted with a pun, with the correct intonation, with the correct tune, pun. So if you want to do the Vedas or the Thevaram Tiruvasakam, which are two things that represent Lord Shiva, in letters, in words, in shabdas, Vadamoliyum ten Tamilum, Maragal Nangu Manavankan. He is the four Vedas. He is the southern Tamil, and he is the northern Sanskrit. Vadamoliyum ten Tamilum, Maragal Nangu Manavankan. So that is Lord Shiva. So he is the word. Omkaradi Samasta Mantra Janakam. It's from him that all the Samasta mantras came. Omkaradi, right from Om into the entire mantra Mahodari, the ocean of mantras. Omkaradi Samasta Mantra Janakam Sukshma Ati Sukshmam Param. Beyond the beyond. So remember, the reason I'm paying so much attention to all this is that this has the power to take you back to the source. What is the source? Lord Shiva, God consciousness. That's where they came from.
Vidya Sushrutirutkrishta Rudraekadashini Shrutau Tatra Panchakshari Tasyam Shiva Yityaksharadvayam.